Hey Riley, so I have an interesting homework assignment for you that I'd like you to explore doing this week. So let me show you something. What I have out in front of me is I have the well-tempered clavier, the prelude that you learned, the prelude in C. And I kind of want you to do something fun this week. I want to work on the idea of improvising with you. And improvising, you probably remember, is when you just make it up. It's more of like your voice and exploring how your voice sounds on the piano. So one thing that I want to do this week is to improvise on the harmonic structure of the prelude that you learned. So I want you to go back and take it out and analyze the piece. I'm going to send you a picture of what my analyzed piece looks like, but I also want you to analyze it. Do your best to try and figure out what the chords are. But if you get confused, use the pictures I send you for help too. We're in C major, of course, right? Because it's called Prelude in C. So it makes sense that the first measure is in C major, and you have C major come up quite a few times in the piece. And then the end, of course, is in C major. Notice I put one chords here, one chords. Okay, so you can use that as a tool to help you. So what you're going to do is you're going to play it first through thinking of these harmonies now. Like you're playing a one chord here, and then the next measure, you're playing a D chord, which is kind of confusing. It's called a 5 of 5 in theory, but we're going to call it just a D chord. And then you go to a D chord here, G major. Notice that in the measures too, I put the Roman numeral underneath the measure, and then above it, I put the name of the actual chord. So this is like a C chord, for instance. In measure 3, you have a G chord, which is a 5. It's a 5 chord in the key of C. And then you go in measure 4 back to C chord, which is a 1 in the key of C. Okay, so that'll be written out for you like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to, once you have the harmonies written in the piece, you'll play it like you typically do. Okay, just like normal. But then when you come back and you do it the next time and just explore after you play it once the right way, explore how you can rearrange it. Like what are other ways that you can play a C chord? Maybe you go down instead of up. Going down instead of going up. Maybe you play, let's see, this blocked, like your left hand blocked, and then you improvise a little bit on a C chord or around a C scale with your right hand. Hopefully that makes sense. So you get to improvise it. You get to have a little more of your own voice. So try it from the beginning to the end, improvising on those chords, and just have fun with it. Try to figure out different ways you can play around that chord. Now, when you have a chord, you don't have to be restricted to just those notes. So for instance, notice how I played more of a scale than just the notes of the chord there. So sometimes you can play notes around the chord as well. You don't have to feel like you have to stay on the chord itself, like a C chord. But if you're going to play around, make sure that you're playing around on that scale. So for instance, if you look at measure 3, 4, 5, a measure 5, you'll notice in my analysis, it's an A minor. It's an A minor chord there. So I would play around an A minor scale there. So it wouldn't be a C scale, it would be an A minor scale. So I could play around an A minor scale there. Okay? So you don't have to, or you can just stay to those chord values. You can stay on the chord, or you can play around on a scale. So try exploring that this week for fun. When you are done with, you know, practicing your other things, pull this out. This should feel like play to you. It should be really fun. And like I said, I'm going to take a picture of my score so you can see what those the chord analysis is, so you can kind of have an understanding of what you're playing. Okay.